Gus Roberts. You are my #1 installer.
And who better to train up more Gus Robertses than Gus Roberts himself?
The last thing I need is some clueless millennial mouth breather cluttering up my van.
Elton, I really should have asked you to wait outside.
Hello, we're here to fix your broadband.
You ever had a paranormal experience?
This is my YouTube channel.
Most haunted institute of the criminally
Insane.
I don't want anything to do with ghosts ever again.
Ow! I think I'm being chased by ghosts. I saw a smouldering ghost. Can you help me?
Something is not right. We need to find out what it is.
You're just scratching the surface. There's a bigger world out there.
You're in danger. These aren't just restless spirits. These are malevolent entities.
welcome, truth seekers.
What an old ham.
How long is this boring bastard gonna be waffling on?
Dad,
Everyone can hear you, you know.
we're on the cusp of something.
The Russians, the Chinese,
They're watching me.
There's a storm coming.
It's all about ghosts, baby.
I'm not scared anymore.
It says, and the caster of the incantation, me, should take not more than 1 sip of tepid urine before the ritual begins.
Welcome to the Amazon Prime Video panel for Truth Seekers, which is set to premiere on October 30th on Prime Video. I'm Terri Schwartz from IGN, and today we'll get to the bottom of what's real and what's vaporware. So plug in your 6G cat cable and let's meet our panelists. First up, without further ado, co-writer and co-creator and Smile's leading installation specialist, Nick Frost as Gus. Welcome, Nick. Woo! Just imagine everyone kind of cheering and raising the roof.
Okay. Thanks for having me.
Everyone's favorite on-screen Elton John, Samson Kayo as Elton.
Get it right, son.
She is taking a break from running from Ghosts to sit with us. Welcome Emma Darcy as Astrid. He plays Gus's meddling roommate and father. Please welcome Malcolm McDowell as Richard.
Malcolm.
And the woman representing all of you fans out there, she plays DIY cosplay enthusiast HELEN, Susan Wokoma. Brutal. Such a pleasure to be chatting with you all. I wanted to kick things off first with Nick. You are our representative co-creator and co-writer here. So to kind of set the stage for people, Truth Seekers is a new show, a mix of supernatural, paranormal, ghost hunting, and of course your signature like horror comedy style. And it feels like this is a show that really comes from a place of fandom for you and passion for ghost hunting and these types of stories. So I'm curious if you could speak to, what in particular inspired you and your co-creator Simon Pegg to create this particular project.
Well, I mean, I like being afraid. You know, I've always liked being afraid since I was a kid. And when I was 10, I watched The Exorcist because my parents liked to sit in a pub and drink. And as a result of that, I could watch any horror film I wanted. So I was always watching totally inappropriate horror films from a very early age. And I found out that I kind of really liked the feeling it gave me in my tummy and willy. And then, as I got older, Simon Pegg and I would hang out and we'd try and frighten each other. And we had a female ghost living in a house that we lived in. And we'd go out sometimes. We were single men, so we'd go out Saturday night and we'd stake out like an old Saxon church or a graveyard, and we'd sit and try and frighten ourselves. A lot, I think it came from that. And, then we got into kind of a love of the X-Files, and that spoke to us. There was a real skill what Chris Carter did in terms of having a really satisfying, funny monster of the week, but also painting a big arc about the world that Mulder and Scully inhabit, you know.
I want to take a couple steps back to something you casually dropped in at the beginning of that description. You and Simon had a female ghost living with you when you first started. Can we dig more into the, what is the story behind this?
I was living with this girl, and like, I was like a young writer. And at one point, like, we split up, and I said to her, just take everything and leave, just go. And so I went to work, and when I came back that night, she'd taken everything except a single mattress. Like, she'd taken everything, so I had nothing. So me and Simon Pegg ended up sleeping on this single mattress and just watching the X-Files on this weird TV video player combo. But like, we'd hear the door banging all the time, and this bell would ring. And then one day I was laying there watching TV, and I felt a woman kiss my forehead. And as I span round, thinking maybe it was Simon mucking about, I was just there in the house on my own.
That's insane, and an amazing story, and something I was going to ask later, but I feel like we should kind of start with, this is a story about ghosts and paranormal entities existing in our world, and a conspiracy, and maybe the apocalypse that might be on the horizon. So, with that kind of be the setting of the show. Beyond Nick, I'm curious if anyone else has ever had a real life paranormal experience. And Sam, I kind of want to start with you, because it looks like you could have a ghost behind you right now with your costume or some outfit hanging and kind of blowing in the wind.
I'm doing another show, so I'm literally in the trailer. But no, do mermaids count? Mermaids are paranormal.
I think so.
Mermaids count.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I haven't, but my mum said, I'm from Nigeria, like my family's Nigerian. And my mum said one time she saw a mermaid, like when she was coming back from college. And I don't believe her. But she said it so many times. She's been killing it. I'm like, come on, mum, like, drop the act. And she's like, no. I am telling. I have seen a mermaid. Beauty. I was like, and she said it. She's so confident, and it's been like 20 years now, and she's still sticking to that story that I'm starting to believe her. So yeah, as far as paranormal, my mum has seen a mermaid, and I believe my mummy.
I believe her too.
That's fair enough.
Susan, Emma, Malcolm, any of you have any paranormal experience in your life?
No, not one.
Does anyone else get sleep paralysis here?
Yeah, I do.
I've gotten it once.
So I developed that like quite young, and I used to like see shapes and stuff that I was convinced were ghosts, and I mean really messed up stuff actually. But I've had it less as I've gotten older. But yeah, when I was about 6, that's when the peak of it, and I would see shapes, or like the door would open and I would see like a cloud of black that would like disappear under my bed, so I never saw where it went. And then with sleep paralysis, obviously you can't move, so it's just the perfect cocktail for trauma.
And the basis for a lot of people's stories in the past, or so we've heard, that maybe it was that experience that people felt that really drew out that horror in a lot of ghost stories, potentially. Emma, but lastly. Oh.
Well, I guess the answer is no, but then a couple of weeks ago, I mistook a squirrel for the spirit of my grandma.
Boom.
It was like in my kitchen, and it was actually amazing. It was really early in the morning. And the house I live in is quite dark, and there was just this light on the wall in my kitchen, just sort of a round like circle of light, and it was sort of hovering there, and it was really beautiful, and there was no reason why that should be reflected or whatever. And I felt really moved, and I started thinking about my grandma. And then it went away, and I was just like, wow, that's really amazing. And then it came back, and it was sort of digging around a bit. So then I went to like investigate a bit further, and I looked out my kitchen window, and there was this squirrel that had got like the bird feeder and was like tipping it upside down to get all the nuts. And that had made a big reflector.
Oh, great.
And that was where the light came from. But for a moment there, I was convinced.
They may have to look into lowering your medication slightly.
There's another version, right, where the squirrel was my grandma. The light has nothing to do with it, but the squirrel was the grandma. I didn't think about that at the time.
There's a little robin that follows me around, and I think that's the spirit of my mother.
Send her my love.
Can I say, I think also something that, you know, in the 19th century, when people started writing horror and ghost stories, I think it had a lot to do with people having bad eyesight and not being able just to go to Specsavers and pick up glasses. It's like, imagine having bad eyes in the 19th century or the 18th century and creeping upstairs, and you got a candle, and then like a curtain starts blowing or something. Without good eyesight, you'd think it was just a ghost or a phantom or something.
Yeah.
Now, Nick, you know, you talked a bit about the inspiration for the show, but I was wondering if you could give kind of everyone who's watching, who's going to be introduced for the first time in October, kind of a quick summary of what you're hoping to accomplish, what the show is, but then also talk about why this paranormal kind of comedy blended with horror genre excites and inspires you.
I think what we want the show to be is funny. You know, I think there's a weird thing that people think that comedy and drama and horror are comedy, or genre and comedy are separate things. You know, I'm not sure they are. I think we always, you know, everything we do is always funny, or it's not a parody of a zombie film, Shaun of the Dead. It's a zombie film, and it just happens to be funny because human beings are funny and nuanced and weird and ridiculous, you know. And I think that's what we tried to do with this. You know, we wanted a gang of people who meet, and you want to spend 3 or 4 hours in their company, hanging out in the little HMS Darkside and going on adventures. You know, we wanted it to be like Scooby-Doo for the, you know, the noughties. Is it still the noughties?
No. Yes.
Have we missed it? Oh, shit.
Does this year count though? Because I thought this year was cancelled.
This is like Scooby-Doo for 2021.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and I'm really excited to introduce everyone to the cast and amazing characters in just a minute. But before we kind of transition over to that point, my last question, Nick, to kind of set the stage for everyone is, you know, you and Simon especially are really well known for Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, The World's End, your big film. So I'm curious, when it came to Truth Seekers, what was it that you guys decided that TV or in streaming was the best medium and more episodic storytelling versus a feature film?
I just think it let us tell a really big story over the course of 8 episodes. You know, it's like a big, and we've written it, and we've written it like a big 3.5 hour movie, you know, and it's nice you get a chance to be able to do that in this day and age with streamers, you know.
Truth Seekers has established actors as well as some new faces for American audiences. So I wanted to give all of you wonderful panelists a chance to kind of talk about who you are and also who your characters are in the show. So Emma, let's start with you, because Astrid is a very interesting character, and once people get to see the first episode, an interesting point of view character into the show as well. So what can you tell us about how she fits into the story? But Nick, also if you could follow that up with what it was about Emma that made her the perfect person to play Astrid.
Okay, well, Astrid, when we first meet her, is on the run. Her house is burnt down, and she's got a massive ghost problem. She runs into, well, is almost run over by Gus and ELTON, and in them, she discovers 2 supernatural enthusiasts. And, well, I think she endows them with all the belief in the world that they might be her kind of help and salvation. And finds some allyship and friendship and family in those 2 weirdos. Yeah.
And then Nick, what was it that, you know, what's interesting about Astrid is that she is this mystery in and of herself. Yes, she is, has these ghosts who are following her. There's all these strange things happening, but we don't know much about her, especially in the first few episodes, or why this is happening to her. So what did Emma bring to the role that really made her right for that performance?
Well, you know, I mean, as soon as we met Emma and we had, you know, chemistry castings and stuff, and we read scenes together, and you know, Samson and Emma read scenes together, and we saw that tape, and then we got Emma in and we just hung out and read stuff, and she was just fantastic. You know, she has a real, don't look at me, Emma, while I'm saying nice things about you. She has a real intensity and a real stillness.
Keep talking.
As a performer, but she's also incredibly funny and gosh darn pretty. And she just had everything, you know, and she really just blew us away, and she was cheap.
Now there's the truth.
Don't worry, we're gonna go round robin. Everyone's gonna get it. Everyone's gonna get the pep talk. Now, Samson, next, you know, tell us a bit more about Elton John, either the performer or your character, whatever your fancy is, and how he fits into the story.
The movie was great. No, but Elton is, you know, he's a sort of like happy-go-lucky lad who's, you know, he's got a past. Him and his sister, they've come from quite a, you know, they've had quite a traumatic past, and you know, he's here for a fresh start. And unbeknownst to him, he's partnered up with Gus, who is, you know, quite the opposite of what Elton is looking for, but essentially finds a sort of a friendship and kind of safety within him. Yeah, he's quite, it's quite weird because he is quite adventurous, but he's reluctant to go on the adventures that Gus has in store for him. And he's all about, you know, letting sleeping dogs lie and keeping what's buried. But he ain't got a choice because it's gotta come back. But yeah, that's Elton.
And then Nick, you know, I think people are used to seeing you in kind of a dynamic duo, buddy pairing setting, especially in your comedies. So in this case, what was it? Obviously becomes a trio between your characters with Emma and the whole ensemble later. But for a good chunk of the show, it is kind of a dynamic duo between you and Samson. So what was it that kind of made him the good foil for Gus on your adventures?
Go.
Oh, come on now. This is so awkward. But just, you know, I mean, we wanted the best actors for the job, you know, and Samson came in, and it's like this guy came in and he was really amazing. And I kind of said to the casting director, hey, that's our guy. And then someone else came in and they were even better. And then Samson came in and then just kind of smashed the place up. He does a really good frightened. His default setting is frightened. That seemed to work great for the show. And we just, you know what? It's really rare when you meet a human being that you just get and you understand as a human. And I think it helps to build it helps to form a chemistry that when you're sat on set in that HMS Darkside van and you're just sharing a bag of crisps in silence, that's just all right. You know what I mean? There's a connection there, and that helps a thing, I think. And we had that.
Now, Susan, you play the Doctor Who loving sister of Elton named Helen. What did you want to bring to this character? Because she's like the resident super fan of the bunch.
Yeah, I think, what did I want? I really like characters who are quite lonely. I don't know why. I really kind of admire people who can kind of create their own universes. But I guess with Helen, she is at a point when we meet her, she does want more, and she can see that, you know, her brother, you know, has this new friend and this new job, and kind of there's a want for more, I think. And I think, like Nick said, in terms of comedy and more sort of dramatic themes, I feel like they live as one, and I think that Helen kind of embodies that. And that's what I love, is those funny characters, but where there's like a really clear truth to them, emotional truth, and you get that in loneliness, I guess. Yeah.
Well, one of the things, not to give too much away, but one of the things that I love about the show is that you and Malcolm's character Richard really form this great bond together. And I was wondering if you guys could talk about kind of how you discovered that, and why, Nick, if you want to speak to why having these two characters who are kind of like the family members of this core ghost hunting, ghost investigating trio was really an important foundation for the show.
Well, I think, you know, it was, when we were writing it, I think it was a relationship that I hadn't really seen before on television, where an older gentleman and a younger lady, I'm so sorry I called you that. You know, two
but
characters.
It's all right, an older man.
An older man, virile older man, and a younger woman just kind of get on and like each other, you know. There's no kind of sexual tension, there's no undercurrent of, well, they won't, it's just they get on and they get each other and they like each other. And I just we hadn't seen that, you know.
Yeah.
I think we did that with all the characters, you know. There would have been, you would have probably been forgiven for a certain, you know, if me and Samson, or we would have not got on straight away, or I was jealous of Emma's character, or, you know, all the characters get on, they like each other. And I think that was part of our process too, in writing something where, you know, there's not going to be conflict necessarily. It's just like, let's have a laugh, let's get on, let's see what these idiots are up to, you know.
Yeah, I love it. Now, last but certainly not least in our roundtable introduction of all the characters, the legend Malcolm McDowell, who plays Gus's father, Richard. Malcolm, what drew you to this project, and what made Truth Seekers something that you wanted to pursue?
Well, the scripts that I read were very good. I liked them a lot, and I like Richard. You know, it's a really curmudgeonly old character who, but obviously there's a lot more going on. And then it comes out with his relationship with Gus, of course, but also, you know, with Susan and the way that develops. It's very nice. And I think all the characters in this are rather isolated people. They're rather lonely people, you know, and I know that Richard, the old father, you know, he's sort of terrified, I think, of dying alone. And that's why he doesn't want Gus to leave all the time, you know. And I don't know, I just felt that the scripts were so I'd never read anything quite like it. Also, I wanted to do something in England. I hadn't worked in England in a long time. And so, you know, I just thought it would be nice to work back in my home country again. And I hadn't been back in years, 20 odd years, I think. The last thing I did was Our Friends in the North. That shows you how long ago that is. You don't remember that, do you? You weren't even born then.
Yep, not
Now, Nick, talk to me about how, you know, Malcolm came to the show from your perspective. Like, do you make Malcolm McDowell audition for your father, or do you call him up and see, like, hey?
5 auditions I did, callbacks, the whole deal.
Yeah, we really put him through the grinder, you know.
Just not sure if he can carry that that weight.
At one point, we had him in a miniskirt twerking. And that didn't
I'll see that on the DVD commentary.
Didn't make the edit. I think, you know, I think we were lucky enough that James Serafinovich, who co-created the show with me, met Malcolm. Was it at the BFI, Malcolm? That you guys did a screening? Yeah. And I think he kind of pitched it to him then, you know, and it was like James came back from that meeting kind of buoyed and thrilled, and it was like, oh, could we? I mean, would he? We were just, I think, also when we did like a Zoom call or like a conference call with Malcolm when we were all in the office and Malcolm was in California, and we were all really frightened. We were all just like, oh, what the hell was this gonna happen? We were all really nervous and stuff. So I don't know. I think if you don't ask, you don't get.
Right.
So we just kind of thought, yeah, let's have a go. And we were just chuffed that he wanted to.
And it all worked out. Now, we do have a clip that we'll be showing in just a second, but before we get to that, I did want to ask Nick. So we know we've met all the characters, but can you speak to how the supernatural and potentially even the apocalypse fit into this ensemble-driven show as its backdrop?
Well, you know, it starts off as Gus, and he's got his own YouTube channel, The Truth Seeker, where he kind of goes to find ghosts or to debunk myths, or, you know, he's a cynic, but he also wants to find a truth. You know, he lost his wife many years ago, and I think he's trying to either completely wipe out the fact that he will ever find her again, or find her again. And he's never seen anything, you know, he saw like a door slam shut over 7 hours while he taped it, and then he watched it back in high speed and it looked like it was slamming. But in truth, it was probably the wind. Right. And then he meets Elton and his world completely changes, you know.
Yeah. Well, we've been talking a lot about Truth Seekers. Why not show you all some of it? It wouldn't be Comic-Con without exclusive clips, and we might have a few to share. So let's take a look at our first exclusive clip.
So, what are we going to do first? So we just need to get some general footage for Helen, and then we could... They're coming! Help! Sake.
Kevin McCarthy cameoing in Philip Kaufman's 1978 remake of Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Spot on. Most people don't get it.
He's an actor, it's roleplay.
Yeah, I knew that.
Have you guys ever had an immersive horror experience?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, if you fancy it, there's more inside. You have to find it, though, makes it a bit more fun. If it gets too scary, the safe word is fire.
That's a safe word, sorry, fire. You don't think that might just cause further panic?
Well, do you think so?
Never mind, I think we'll be okay. Come on.
Wait, why do we need a safe word? Why do we need a safe word?
Now, Nick, there are some other nods to nerd culture within Truth Seekers, like Susan's character Helen is a cosplayer and a YouTuber. How does your experience with fandom and convention culture translate into you wanting to represent that in a show like Truth Seekers?
Well, you know, I mean, I am a fan, you know, I am a fan of genre and that culture, and I've been to Comic-Con as a fanboy, and, you know, I guess people say, write what you know. So this is kind of what I know.
Yeah, I love it. And I love getting to see that reflected back at us. Now, Susan, have you ever cosplayed in real life? Or you like, what would your dream cosplay be?
I haven't cosplayed. I just think, don't think I'm talented enough to get the kit together. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I feel the same way, 100%.
Yeah, I genuinely admire people who go for it. We did have there was a day when we had to put together, I think it was 5 different cosplay looks really quickly, and that was, I mean, that we were against the clock and we were outside, and I was like, at one, I don't even know what this character was, but it was just like a bra and something very cool in the wet mud, and I was just like, you've got to really love it, you know.
So you're playing Bra Mud Girl?
Yes, you know that scene. That's not
Bra Mud.
Yeah. So yeah, I had to go at it, and it's really hard. I don't know who I would love to, probably like Donatello. I think Teenage Mutant.
Ooh.
It would have to be. I'd want to like change. You know, I'd want to like completely transform. I wouldn't want to be human. So probably a turtle, I think.
And I will say, shout out to everyone, and New York Comic Con is a big part of this too. Just because people are at home has not stopped them from cosplaying. And some of the cosplays from home that we've seen have been like absolutely amazing. People are still showing them off, even though we can't physically be at events together. So it's very cool. And I will give a shameless plug to that. Now, Malcolm, have you ever cosplayed? No, I'm kidding. Where does your character, Richard's, Gus's dad, fit into all these paranormal shenanigans that are happening in Truth Seekers?
I think he thinks they're all total nonsense, which is a nice, juxtaposition, because can't have everybody doing the suburban Ghostbusters, as I like to call it. But of course, he's nosy, goes through all of Gus's stuff, and denies everything, steals the digestive biscuits and all the rest of it. It's actually a sort of a wonderful relationship, really. It's sort of like an old married couple in a weird way.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun to play. I don't know how, but either of us kept straight faces at certain points, but we had a bit of fun, I think, doing it. And that's the main thing, because if you're not having fun, then the audience is not having fun. So I think it's very important. And I think that you get that from, just seeing a few of the episodes, that everybody's enjoying it, you can tell. And that means a lot. So yeah, that's fun. It was a lot of fun to do those scenes, actually, with Nick,
I've written a scene in series 2 where Gus baths Richard in the sink, like Steptoe and Son. So hold on to your hats.
Well, roll on season 2 is all I can say to that.
No, Samson, there's a bit of a running joke in this series that Elton kind of has a hard time seeing jobs through long term and committing to them. So what do you think it is about Gus and his ghost hunting that has Elton interested in sticking around, especially since it makes him a bit uncomfortable, I guess we could say?
No, I think it's more so. I think it's more of a thing that I think it's the bond that they begin to build between them. I mean, at first, we see that Elton is seriously reluctant because of, it's just this crazy man that lives in this big old van full of gadgets. And it's like, for Elton, it's just all the things that he just doesn't want to get involved in. Like, he just wants to go to work, punch in, punch out, and go and have a lasagna. But, Gus has other ideas. But over the episodes, we start to see kind of like a genuine friendship build between Gus and Astrid, and and I feel like he finds a sort of a warmth and solace in that relationship, as because he sees that they're all flawed, like we're all flawed, and together we can kind of overcome. Together we can we can overcome anything, essentially.
Well, I do love too is like the first couple episodes kind of introduce everyone to all the different characters, but then when you do all build and like come together as a unit, I think that's when like you really feel that chemistry of the 5 characters click in and come together, and you all really complement each other, and in really positive ways, as Nick was saying earlier, where it's like you all genuinely clearly like each other, and the characters all really enjoy each other.
Of course.
Yeah, and go ahead.
I think even off camera, the relationships that we have, like it's always nice when you actually like people on set. Like, you come in, you give Nick a big hug every morning to set off his day, and we sneak sweets into the van for each other, like just all these little things to kind of build our friendship. So yeah, you can see it on screen, I hope.
I like the kickoff hug of the day. I think we should make that once we can all be around each other and touch each other again.
I have a kickoff hug of the day, man. Trust me.
Puts everything
those days are long gone, sadly.
Yeah.
In the year 2030.
Do this maybe.
Yeah. Now, Emma, Astrid experiences some pretty horrific hauntings, like right from the get-go on this show. Yet she pretty, gamely becomes a part of the rest of the team. How is she coping? What can you say about how she's coping so well, considering all the close calls she's had with the supernatural? And could you tease if that's an asset that may help as they investigate further what is actually going on?
That's a really good question. I think it gives her a bit of an edge, actually, because it's like work experience, I guess. We've had some field experience, whereas these guys, not that much. So when things do hot up, she doesn't get flustered by it. And I think she derives a lot of joy from the thrill of what they do. Yeah, I think that's probably true going forward. Her haunting situation is tied to lots of big questions about who she is and where she's from. So I guess, like, I don't know, if you like find the spirit of someone's dog or something, the emotional punch isn't as raw.
Right.
I think, yeah.
Yeah, I like that answer. Very cryptic. Now we do have another clip for everyone, and Nick, this one is a bit fun. This one's a bit special because you and Simon have created this amazing on-screen ensemble over the years, and now you're kind of passing the torch onto another generation because Simon's daughter actually makes a cameo. So can you kind of set up the clip that we're about to see with a cameo from Simon's daughter?
This is a clip with Simon's daughter in it.
All right, let's check it out. We'll get the story after. Let's take a look.
Dad? Hello.
Hi.
You haven't seen my dad, have you? I gave him my ticket and I think he's either wandered off or drifted in. Or...
Do you have a ticket?
Well, I do have a ticket, but I've given him my ticket and he's wandered off. Or
You need a ticket.
Yes, no, I have one. I have a ticket. I think there's a mix-up. Believe this. Sorry. Oh. Okay then.
That is so great, and just one of the great nods to your amazing dynamic and pass with Simon, Nick. So thank you for sharing that one. Now we're almost out of time, but I did want to ask everyone: you've all had a chance to see some of the episodes. I know everyone else will have to wait until October 30th for Truth Seekers to premiere, but I wanted to hear what you five all thought of having a chance to see some of the show, spoiler free. So Malcolm, what did you think of what you've seen of Truth Seekers so far to get people excited for what's going to come?
I was pleasantly surprised. I mean, I thought it would be good, but I didn't realize how good. I think it's a wonderful show. I really do, and it's because it's so charming and so unique. I've never seen anything like this. All these strange characters that all come together, but there's a sort of niceness about. There's no, you know, I'm used to playing serial killers all the time or something. So this is so nice to watch something that my mother could enjoy. You know, I think it's a very charming show. I mean, and you know what? I mean, I loved it. I really loved it. So you know, I'm hoping that the audience will love it too.
Emma, how about
what
for
do
you?
Think?
Awful. No, I really liked it. I really liked it. It felt very nostalgic to me. Has like a really nostalgic quality. I guess part of that is seeing like Nick and Simon do something together again in this format, but also has a kind of lo-fi quality, partly I guess because of the practical. Lots of the effects are practicals, and I don't know. I've been looking for kind of warm nostalgic feelings recently, and I was really surprised and happy to find it in Truth Seekers. I feel like I'm looking to go home to something at the moment, and I think you probably can do that with this.
Yeah. How about for you, Samson?
For me, it was creepy. Like I like the fact that they took they took the horror serious. You know, they didn't kind of water it down. It was quite real, and you know, some of the sets that we went to, you could just feel that sort of eeriness. And when I watched the beginning of episode 1, I could kind of feel like that sort of all behind your back sort of energy. And that's the sort of thing that I like in horror, instead of the "Rah!" Like, see, there you go, behind
Yeah,
your back.
I know. We just got one.
Yeah,
Behind you started float. Look at it's moving in the costume. That freaked me out.
Yeah, we actually hired some ghosts for
floating
the
trousers,
panel.
floating trousers. Yeah, see, it's that sort of eerie sort of feel, but it also has its warmth, and and those are one of the things that kind of drew me to wanting to play Elton. So yeah.
Yeah. I'm working my way around. Susan, what did you think?
I loved it. I've been involved in one supernatural show before, and that was a few years ago. And I've literally been looking to be a part of something like this, because I just feel that the kind of scope of what can happen, the worlds are just bigger and less kind of, obviously grounded in any kind of like reality of physics. So watching it, I watched it as like a fan of this kind of stuff, and like Samson said, I found it genuinely scary because I wasn't really around for too much of that stuff.
Right.
Loads of it was genuinely a shock, was an actual shock, and that was cool to kind of see what everybody else was getting on with, because Helen is, she stays indoors for a while before she ventures out.
For sure.
It was really fun to see, like, oh, I read that bit and that's actually how they put it together. So yeah.
And now, Nick, to end with you, I know this is your baby, so to ask, what did you think seeing the finished product? Obviously you're deeply involved with it, but I'm curious, like, what is the last message you want people to take away from this panel about True Seekers before they get to see it for themselves?
I think it was one of the only things that I watched where I didn't cry because I hated it immediately. Do you know what I mean? I was really proud at what we did, and we all worked so bloody hard, and we left it on the pitch, and I want people to just enjoy our enjoyment of each other. It's not cynical, it's a fun show, and hopefully you might get one or two jumps and be afraid, and you might laugh and smile and just reach over and hold the hand of someone you love.
I think that's what we all need that right now.
Yeah.
So I love that message. We'll end on a hug. Thank you, Nick, Samson, Emma, Malcolm, and Susan. Thank you all so much for taking this time and chatting about True Seekers with me. True Seekers is coming to Amazon Prime Video on Friday, October 30th. Thank you all so much, and we'll see you next New York Comic Con.
Stay safe, New York.